tikugate ane hotokete tumete arayu atateli wairima ngai wiki nawe ongehota gutariria natiolo wakuigana ndenaguo nenduteto kuiganira ne papa donandaga maundu mothe maiganane donandaga maundu mothe maiganane Otuleti utwali tukiambiriria tumete haraihu rugano rungiandiko twalia inyereri na gukombuni ngoma nindika yayuka kigarura gitama wakwigana ndenaguo nenduteto kuiganira ne papa donandaga maundu mothe maiganane donandaga maundu mothe maiganane
Wow, thanks so very much, Brother Steve, for your good song. May the Lord God bless you. We are happy to have you on board. Once again, this is Mataro TV coming to you live from our studios. I hope that you're well and the Lord has kept you in good health. It is my pleasure to invite all of us, those that are following through YouTube, WhatsApp, Twitter, and the like. I just want to welcome all of us to let our friends know that we are on air and we are ready to kick off. Yes, I want to take this opportunity once again to welcome on board all of us who love Mataro from our beloved nation, Kenya, from the 4 weeks. Welcome and join us even as we get started. I want to promise all of us that we won't disappoint, we won't frustrate, we will not disappoint you, but we will give you the best. Be reminded that it is only in Mataro TV where you are trained to understand yourself and to understand how best to use the skills, the abilities, and the talent that God has deposited in you. Yes, today we are back on our very topic, the topic of a call to the hurting man, where we deal with the boy child. And because I know there are so many that are waiting, I want also to extend out my invitation to our neighboring countries, to those that are in Tanzania. You are most welcome. Welcome on board. I know if I would be in Tanzania, pengine ningesema hamjambo wa Tanzania. Welcome on board. I just want to also to welcome our brothers and sisters in Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi, Congo, South Sudan, and the whole of Africa. I know there are also those that are tuned from Arab countries. You are most welcome on board. I want to promise all of us it will be hot today. And prepare yourself with a pen and a book because I'm going to take you on a journey on how best to understand the boy child and how best to nurture and to raise them to becoming real men. To those of us that are from far countries like USA, Germany, British, China, India, and other parts of the world, you are also welcome on board. This is Mataro TV, and we are very much ready for you, and we also believe you are ready for us. We are going to bring to us the best, and so let those friends of viewers know that we are live, and please share that link with as many as possible. And because I know you are preparing for this and for the best that is about to come, let me just switch to the other side of the studio and bring to us a number even as we prepare and invite many to join even as we get started together. God bless you as you consider to invite many. Bwana Mungu
nashangaa kabisa nikifikiri jinsi ulivyo nyota guru mo vitu vyote pia viubavyo kwa uwezo wako. Roho yangu na ikuimbie jinsi wewe ulivyo kuu. Roho yangu na ikuimbie jinsi wewe ulivyo kuu. Nikitembea pote duniani tege huu.
Thanks also very much, our brother Apostle John Day, for your good song. May the Lord God bless you. Now, I want to welcome on board every mother, the mother of boys, wherever you are. Just make a point of following the teachings, and I promise you, you'll have something to take to your boys or something to give to your boys. And I also want to welcome all fathers on board, because we must raise these boys. We cannot allow ourselves to do away with the mentorship of our boys and the raising up of our boys. I want to welcome all fathers on board. Remember, we are talking about the boy child, and we have learned from the past lessons that a man is composed of 6 pillars, which are namely that he is a leader. A man is a leader. And number 2, a man is a provider. And number 3, a man is a protector. He must be hardworking, a counselor, and a priest in his own capacity. This is where we are going to major on, and we are going to discuss this in length in order for all of us to understand the creation of God in man. Now, today we are in the very 6 stages of leadership, and I believe that you are ready that we get started together. Now, in these very 6 stages of leadership, one must be taught to understand that there is what we call individual leadership. Number 2, one has to be taught on how best to lead their wife. Number 3, we teach also on how best to lead your children. Number 4, we teach you on how to lead yourself in social matters, or the leadership that is contained in social welfare. Now, the other one is the leadership in religious leadership, and the last one is leadership in your wealth and riches, because these are very crucial stages to every leader. You can be successful in one stage, but if you fail in those other stages, you become a failure and you fail drastically. So we are saying we're going to teach ourselves to understand individual leadership, the leading of the wife, the leading of the children, social leadership or community leadership, religious leadership, and wealth management or wealth leadership. That's where we are today. And today, just to give us some highlight or some review of what happened last time in our program or in our lesson, we discussed about individual leadership. And I remember I started by saying it was the duty of a good and a gracious father to let his son understand how best to choose the good from the evil. And I remember I said that in the whole world there are only 2 forces that pull apart, the good and the bad, the good and the evil. And it was the duty of every good father to nurture his boy child to understand how best to choose the good from evil. And not only being able to choose, but he would go ahead to remind or to tell his son that it is not just enough to choose good from evil. You must understand that whatever choices that you make in life have consequences. Whether good choices or bad choices, both will bring you some consequences. And so a father would prepare his son to understand that choosing the good must also be guarded. What good choices that you make or you you choose, they must be guarded, because many are the enemies that will try to come and rob you of the good that you have chosen. So they must be guarded, they must be protected. And not only being guarded and protected, the father would go ahead and tell his son that whatever good choices that you have made in life, whatever good decision that you are making in life, whatever good choices that you have now must be grown. So a father would tell his son, it is important to practice walking the talk. That is now what you have chosen. You must grow. You must grow such that it may mature and bring forth some good fruit. And I remember also I said that growth is a process, and sometimes it takes longer time than expected, and it is also painful. It was the duty of a good father to prepare his son to understand all that. And we also said that whatever must bring forth some good fruits must be protected, because many are the enemies. And every single day a son would be made to understand or come with some new battles. And we said that it was important for a father to let his son understand that every single day will bring some new battles. These battles are not meant to destroy the kid or the child that is being brought up, but they are meant to harden that son to becoming a good leader. So every battle that comes your way, a father would tell his son that battle is not meant to destroy you, but to make you a better leader and a strong leader, because leadership requires some strength and some courage. And without such hardships and such battles that come your way, you cannot emerge a good leader. Now, the last part where I remember I concluded, we discovered that there is no leader that does not get angry. So a father would prepare his son to understand that every leader gets angry, along the way, and it is the nature of every man to get angry. So anger will be part of this journey. And so the father would tell his son that the moment they get angry, they must know how best to channel their emotions in the very best in a very constructive way. And so a father would give some advice to his son, reminding the son that when you are not able to channel your emotions in a very constructive way, they become destructive and they bring you a lot of heartache, because it's such when they are not channeled in the right way, they may destroy the best that you have built. They may also bring destruction to others. And so a son was taught on how best to channel their emotions in a very constructive way. Today we are going to enter into a very new topic altogether, the topic of the leading of the wife. Now, it was the duty of every good father to raise his son to understand how best to manage his own marriage. So it was the duty of every good father to nurture his son to understand how best to handle his marriage and how to offer leadership in his marriage. And so a father would take his son into a lesson, or into a kind of a learning, and he would teach his son to understand the huge difference that is there between individual leadership and the leading of the wife. So a father would prepare his son to understand how best to relate and to cope with his wife, and also how best to handle matters marriage, or matters that concerns marriage. So a father would take a son systematically, allowing him to understand that marriage is not something easy to handle. It is hard to handle marriages, and particularly when you are not trained to understand how best to go about such. And so, because I know you are preparing to learn more, allow me to switch to the other side of the studio and receive a number from the other side of the studio. Then I'll come back and take you to an extra mile concerning this issue of reading of the wife. So welcome and enjoy the song that is coming on on air right now, and God bless you.
Gai monene nyige mutugi Gai ke hoti na ne ore hinya Niwe wobire thina iguru Nacio nanagia unene waku Gai monene nyige mutugi Gai ke hoti na ne ore hinya Niwe wobire thina iguru Nacio nanagia unene waku Harewe no kuiga mwihoko Harewe no kwenda guikara Hauja-inĩ ciaku ndĩonagĩre ũthingu ona ũtugi waku Harĩa nyumĩte niĩ nĩ haraihu Harĩa ũndutĩte nĩ hanene Harĩa ndĩrathi nowe mwĩhoko Itarĩ nawe niĩ ndingĩhota Harĩa nyumĩte niĩ nĩ
Thanks so very much, our brother, for your good song. May the Lord God bless you. We are happy to have you on board. Now, we are on this very topic of the leading of the wife. So it was the duty of every good father to advise his son on how to go about it. Yes, it was the duty of every good father to advise his son on how to go about it. It was also the duty of every good father to let his son know that they should not just marry from whatever family they come across, because every family had a history, and not many people sometimes would allow their son just to marry anyhow. They would be guided of their father on how to go and what family to go to if they have to marry and retain or manage a good marriage. So a father would guide his son on that. He would also teach his son the importance of paying the dowry, because that was also very key in most African cultures. It was very key. So a father would train or would make his son understand why it is important to pay dowry, and from there a father would continue teaching his son to understand that there is this huge difference between him and the wife to be. And so a father would help his son understand that his way of doing things is different from the way the wife to be would do her own things, and his perception is also different from her perception. His opinions might be different from her opinion, and his way of making decision may sometimes vary from the way her wife to be makes decisions. So these are some of the issues that the father would take his son through, and he would tell his son, my son, when you make a decision to do something, don't ever try to imagine that your wife will be for that decision or for that idea. She may be of different opinion from your decision or from your idea. And please, people don't quarrel because of differences in their opinion, but they try to negotiate their way out and find a point of compromise, that you don't go doing it 100% on your own and the wife go doing it 100% on her own. You come together, you bring your heads together, you reason out together until you find a point of compromise whereby you can agree and forge forward on what you want to do. So a father would also remind his son that it is important to understand that the way you handle yourself is so different from the way the wife handles herself. And so you must also understand that a wife that you are going to get to marry, She is not an angel. She has her own weaknesses. She has her own limitations. So don't expect an angel. And every time a son gets into marriage without such information, without such counsel from the father, that's where the battles begin. And they tear one down, they tear one another down. They destroy one another. And that's why it was important for a father to be there for their son, even to train them to understand how best to lead a wife. So the only challenging part today we have is that today not many fathers have good relationship with their sons. This is so discouraging and frustrating in our present generation, that a majority of sons and fathers are not in good relationship. They are not in good terms. Their relationship is shaky, and so they cannot have time to sit together and discuss. And so I'm calling on all fathers and sons to bring back this father-son relationship, because a son will always mess out, and a son will always destroy himself when he forges out his own way and go doing his own things without the counsel of the father. A father plays such a great role in the life of the child. And do not forget, every young man who is listening to me, never underrate your father. Never overlook your father. Never despise your father. You need him in every step of your life. He has what you do not have, and he can give you what you cannot be given of your age mates. So it is important that you get to understand that father-son relationship is needed. And I know I'm talking also to some very busy fathers who do not get time for their sons, and who do not spare time to share the feelings of their sons. We need to come back to ourselves and ask ourselves the right questions. So if we have to guide our sons on how best to lead their wives, we must create enough time. Our sons must create time for us, and we must also create time for our sons, for us to have a smooth landing. And so before I get continued, because I know there are so many people who are joining and who are enjoying the topic of the day, please allow me to switch to the other side of the studio and receive a number, and I promise I'll not frustrate you, I'll not fail you, I'll give you the best. Only continue tuning. Remember, this is Mataro TV, where you are trained to understand yourself, and where you are trained on how best to use the skills, the talent, the abilities, and whatever other deposit that God has deposited inside of you. Welcome and enjoy this number.
Unatupenda.
Thanks so very much, Pastor Tabitha. We really enjoyed your song. God bless you. Now, we come back to our very topic, the leading of the wife. Now, a father would tell his son, you must always remember this, that the way I've brought you up is not the way the wife to be is brought up. So you don't expect her to behave the way you behave. You don't expect her to do things the way you do things. And before you get to a rhyme, there are many things that will crop up. And a lot of fighting will get along with you, because there are going to be differences for a number of years. So you must expect that when she comes your way, she will behave differently, she will react differently, and she will handle matters differently. When you find such things happening, you don't fight your wife. You give her time to study, to understand you better, and you also give yourself time to study to understand her better. And a father would tell his son, such would take a long time, and such requires a lot of patience, because if you're not patient in such, you may give up along the way. And I don't want you to give up along the way. So a father would tell his son, never be in your judgment. Never be quick in condemning. Never be quick in accusing, because her upbringing is not your upbringing. The way I raised you up is not the way she was raised up. So you need to be tolerant. You have to tolerate her, and you have to give her enough space to understand you, and she must also give you enough space to understand you. So understand her, and as she understands you. Now from there, a father would tell his son, now these are some of the things that you must keep to remember. That when you were leading yourself, you were a freelance. You could go whatever places that you wish, and you could eat from whatever from whatever hotel you want to go to eat, or you can spend the night wherever you want to spend the night. And the father would tell the son, when she comes, it will not be the same again. Things gonna change. It will not be the same again. Things will change. And the first thing the father would tell his son, he would tell his son that you'll be questioned on where you slept, you spent the night. You'll be questioned on where you ate the last supper. You'll be questioned, about many things. And every man who is listening to me knows that we hate to be questioned. We want to control our own lives. We want to do that which we feel best. Now listen to this, every man, wherever you are, married or not married, when you allow yourself to marry somebody's daughter, be ready for many questions. Some of them may not look straightforward, and some of them may not be so pleasing, but such questions must be given some answers. If you have to grow a healthy marriage, you must be ready to respond to whatever questions that is being asked. And so I'm saying it is our weakness as men. We hate to be questioned. We hate to be asked questions. So this is something that the father would make sure it has sunk into the heart of a son, that whenever he will be asked a question, he must be ready to respond. Whenever he will be asked where he spent the night, he will be able to tell it out. He will be able to answer to that. So the father was only training his son to understand the importance of discipline in marriage, because if there has to come or if we have to develop a healthy marriage, discipline must be practiced in that marriage. And so a father would tell his son, my son, as much as we do not like to be asked questions, be ready for those questions, because such questions will help you manage your discipline, will help you behave well, and will help you do away with the wrong company. Now, another thing a father would tell his son, my son, when you marry that woman, there comes a time when she will conceive. And when she conceives, she'll be a different person altogether. She'll start to hate you in the morning. She'll start to vomit in the morning. She'll develop some mood swings. She'll develop some annoyances. She'll annoy you in the morning. She'll annoy you in the noontime. She'll annoy you when you are going to bed. But remember this. Every time you see her behave like that, be reminded there is somebody else who is giving pressure in her. So don't beat up your wife. Don't go cursing your wife. Don't go, talking ill of your wife. You must understand that you are getting better and you are getting enriched in your marriage. So bear the pain of getting rich. Bear the pain of getting rich. So when you see your wife behave like that, it is not time to quit that marriage. It is not time to beat her up. It is not time to lock her in the house and you go your way. It is time to understand her. Now, in our generation, in our present generation, how many sons know this? How many sons have the counsel on how best to handle a pregnant wife? On how best to relate with a pregnant wife? A majority of our young people are getting into a mess and they are getting into a losing battle every other single day. So it was important for a daddy to train his son to understand all this. And a father would not stop there. A father would tell his son. Now, another thing that I want you to understand is this. When she gives birth to a baby, now many things will change about her. Now, number one, her figure will change. And I know that men are attracted to many things. There are those of us who are attracted to figures, and those of us who are attracted maybe to the hair, to the looks, and to other features of her body. Now, all such with time may change. A father would advise his son ahead of time. And when such changes, my son, you don't quit your wife. You don't, you don't, hate your wife. Neither do you divorce your wife. You must learn to stay with your wife in good times and in bad times. So when her body changes and her figure changes, she is still the very love of your life, but this time round, because she has given birth to a baby, such things must happen. Please never ever forget that she is the very love of your life, even when many things and many features about her body is changing or are changing. Now, a father would also tell his son, number two, her hobbies will change. She cannot give birth to a baby and remain in her old hobbies. She must change in her hobbies. Her interest also will change. And the father would go ahead and say and tell his son, now he also, his love for you would also change. She'll give attention to the newborn baby. And the father would tell his son, when she gives attention and more attention to the child, please don't fight her and please don't go for other women. This is the way a marriage goes, or this is the process on how the marriage goes. So you don't have to go and and connect with other women or hook to other women or start cohabiting. You need to stick with your wife, even that time when attention has drifted to the child. You must remain with that woman. And now here a father would give a counsel that would last that marriage for life. A father would tell his son, you must understand this, my son, that in the marriage process there are 3 stages that you must undergo. The first stage is falling in love. The second stage is falling out of love. And the third stage is falling back in love. So when your wife starts to give birth to children, now you will fall out of love. Now love will disappear because her attention will be drawn to the children more than to you. But please be reminded, she is doing all this for your own good. So when she gives her children the love they need, she is trying to build a good family for you. So don't hate her that she is not giving you attention and enough attention. So keep loving her even when she cannot be loved. Keep loving her even when she cannot appreciate her. Now a father would go ahead and tell his son, my son, you must always remember that if you have to maintain this marriage and keep it healthy, there are things that I'm going to teach you. And these things you must keep in your head and also in your heart. That in every marriage, there is what we call good communication. And good communication is the lifeblood of every marriage. And when communication dies, friendship dies. So a father would tell his son, if you want to maintain a good and a healthy marriage, and a marriage that will last, you must never lose sight of good communication. Good communication and good marriage goes hand in hand. And good communication is the lifeblood of every marriage. And when communication dies, now friendship dies without communication. And so a father would advise his son and tell his son, my son, if you want to live happy, and if you want to live long enough, never allow communication to die in your marriage. Always guard and protect communication in your marriage. And a father would challenge his son and tell his son that it is not that easy to keep communicating. It is a hard thing and a hard practice. You have to practice it day and night, and you need not to tire up practicing communication. You'll bear me witness to those of us that are mothers and fathers that it is not easy to communicate with somebody that you've been together for 20 years. It is not easy to communicate for somebody that you've been in marriage together for 30 or 40 years. It takes God sometimes. It takes the grace of God for people to communicate. And so far, a father would tell his son, never ever allow yourself to communicate with your wife only when you need her, but always keep communication healthy in that marriage. And by so doing, you become a good leader. By so doing, you are building a strong foundation for your family. Now, something else that a father would highlight is friendship. And the father would tell his son, whenever friendship dies, enmity rises up, or enmity emerges. You don't have to call him enmity. Enmity, keeps hanging around. That when friendship dies, enmity crops in, or enmity creeps in. Now, a father would tell his son, be very careful not to allow that enemy in your marriage, because the moment he'll find a loophole in that marriage will be destroyed. That marriage will not survive. That marriage will be a painful marriage. And the father would go ahead and tell his son, there is this good thing with friendship. When you are friends, you have no secrets. But the moment you become enemies, you start keeping secret to yourselves. And many marriages today are only getting destroyed because there are people with their own secrets, and the secrets that they cannot let go. The secrets that they cannot discuss with their partners. Now, whenever marriage allows enmity to come in, now secrets will start to build in people's heart. And secrets are not for friends. Secrets are for enemies. So a father would tell his son, never allow enemy or enmity in your marriage, because the moment enmity will find loophole in your marriage, they'll start to, you start to have some secret towards your wife, and your wife will have some secrets towards you. Number two, you'll never enjoy your marriage. You continue to endure your marriage to death. Now, a father would tell his son, when enmity creeps into your marriage, now you never again enjoy marriage, but you will endure marriage to death. Number three, when enmity creeps in, cooperation will never be found in that marriage again. And you know one thing, when we are friends, we incorporate one another in our doings, or in our projects, in our ideas, in our decision. So when enmity strikes in or creeps in, now cooperation flies away, and there comes division, and there comes people doing their own things their own way. You find that a father in the house has his own projects and businesses of which the wife do not know about. The wife maybe has some businesses and has some properties that the man in the house knows nor about. So nobody incorporates the other in their doings, in their businesses, in their making of decision. And the father would tell the son, when enmity creeps in, now this is something that you must understand, that you never have a healthy conversation anymore. So a father would advise his son and tell his son, if you want to maintain a healthy conversation in your marriage, guard this animal called enmity not to creep in, and many other things a father would take his son through to understand the importance of friendship. Now, maybe to mention but a little bit, now when enmity creeps in a marriage, a father would tell his son, the way you are enjoying going out for coffee when you are newly married, that thing will be the thing of the past. The way you used to go out for night parties and the like, such will be the things of the past. And so guard your marriage, that communication and good communication will not die. Now, the last part, the father would tell his son, my son, it is also important that you understand this, that whenever you give somebody your time and you listen to them, such things will always develop. Number one, when you listen to somebody, now that somebody knows that you value them. Now, a father would tell his son, when you give your wife time and when the wife gives you time, that means that you value one another. Number two, when you give somebody a listening ear, and you listen to them, even when they are complaining, even when they are angry, you're only telling them, I care for you. So allow yourself enough time with your family, with your wife, because if you do not give them enough time to listen to them, many things will go wrong. Now, number three, now, whenever you give somebody a listening ear, you are telling them you care for them and you protect them. They feel they have a sense of protection. They feel protected, because if you can give them a listening ear, that to them means that you are ready also to protect them. And the last one, when you give somebody a listening ear, you are telling them they have a sense of belonging. They belong. And so you kill those many fears that build around. So a son would be advised of his daddy on how best to manage his marriage and to lead his marriage. And I want to allow all of us to understand, if we do it this way, we will not not miss the way, but we are going to conquer many mountains that will rise before us, and we are going to level many valleys that are going to form before us. And so I don't want to exhaust everything. I want to keep some for the next lesson, and I know you are enjoying, but maybe some are enduring, but I know for sure a majority of us are learning something. And so I want to allow all of us to understand that we are in this process of understanding the 6 steps of leadership, and once we are done with this, I want to promise all of us that we are going to have very strong leaders and very healthy families, and we are going to enjoy ourselves and even enjoy the time that God has given to all of us to live on the service of the earth. God bless you as we meet on that other lesson that is about to come. Let's switch to the other side of the studio and receive another number.
Wanajarelera bare noti yakwa todo ena mwene